The corridors of the Xinhua Grand Hotel had always been silent before sunrise. But at 4:17 a.m., a faint hum, half vacuum, half whisper, echoed from the 13th floor. It was there that the cleaner everyone called Mrs. Liang pressed her gloved hand to a door that should have been locked. Room 1304. Yu Menglong's room. No one saw her that night, but she remembered every sound, the soft drip of water from the faucet, the faint trace of something metallic in the air, and the single red streak across the white-tiled floor, thin, fresh, and deliberate. Blood doesn't lie, she said later. But people do. The hotel's CCTV for that hallway flickered between frames. In one, Yu Menglong passed carrying a paper bag. In the next, the lights dimmed as if something had breathed them out. Mrs. Liang's mop caught the reflection of crimson under the bathroom door. She thought it was paint until she touched it. It wasn't much, just 3 fingerprints worth, smeared along the porcelain edge of the sink, but the smell, copper and salt, turned the room into a riddle. On the counter sat a glass of green tea, half finished, the surface still vibrating as though someone had set it down seconds earlier. The phone rang once. She froze. It stopped. Then rang again. The caller ID showed only one name, Manager Lu. Mrs. Liang wasn't supposed to answer, but curiosity is louder than fear. When she picked up, a man's voice whispered, "Lock the door. Do not speak of what you see." The line went dead. By dawn, tabloids screamed headlines of accident, depression, career pressure. The hotel's front desk denied everything, no blood, no disturbance, no trace of the actor's last breath. But in the janitor's closet, wrapped in an old towel, Mrs. Liang hid a piece of the truth, the towel she'd used to wipe the sink. She'd meant to throw it away. She couldn't. 4 days, she said nothing. Then came the nightmares. A man humming the melody from Yu Menglong's unreleased song, the one fans swore predicted his own death. The tune echoed through her dreams until she called a friend who worked in maintenance. That call was recorded by the security office, and months later it leaked online, fueling the rumor storm. He wasn't alone that night. "You saw someone?" "Not saw, heard." 2 voices. One begging, one calm. The calm one, she said, was the same voice that had called her later. When the investigation reopened under public pressure, Mrs. Liang was summoned quietly. The meeting wasn't at the police station, it was at a private office near the production company's headquarters. 2 men in dark suits, no badges, just notebooks. One placed a recorder on the table and said, "Speak." Her words spilled out like broken glass, how she found blood, the half-open balcony door, the torn movie script on the floor, and the faint outline of a handprint on the wall, as if someone had tried to stand but fell before they could scream. She told them about the missing bedsheet, the camera tripod in the corner, and the flickering red light she swore came from a recording device. The men exchanged glances. One asked, "Did you take anything?" She shook her head, but her pocket told another story. Inside it was a micro SD card, barely the size of a fingernail. She'd found it behind the dresser, taped to the wood. The suits confiscated it, thanked her, and left. That was the last official record of Mrs. Liang's existence. 3 days later, her locker at the hotel was emptied. Her name vanished from the staff log. Security claimed she'd resigned suddenly. But her apartment door remained unlocked, and inside a kettle still warm, slippers still by the bed, and a note taped to the mirror. "If anyone finds this, don't believe the videos. Look for the towel." When her story resurfaced online, it reignited the entire Yu Menglong mystery. Netizens began cross-referencing timestamps, comparing hotel records to flight data, discovering that one of the investigators who'd interviewed her was actually listed as a consultant for Yu Menglong's production company. Coincidence? No one believed so. Months after her disappearance, a forum received an anonymous post titled Traces. The author uploaded 4 blurred images, the edge of a hotel bathtub with what looked like faint red streaks, a zoomed-in shot of Yu Menglong's wristwatch showing 3:42 a.m., a mop handle, and a frame of a woman's reflection, possibly Mrs. Liang, standing behind him. The account was deleted within hours, but users archived everything. Investigators later confirmed that the watch in the photo matched the one Yu Menglong wore in his last interview, an interview whose raw footage, oddly, was also shot at 3:42 a.m. The timestamp aligned perfectly. Whistleblowers later revealed that room 1304 didn't officially exist on the hotel registry. It had been renamed 1204 after renovations, but the keycard system still registered 1304's electrical activity. Someone had entered and left the door 8 times between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. The hotel's blueprints, leaked by a construction worker, showed a small adjoining room behind 1304, a maintenance chamber with a single hidden camera slot facing the bed. The footage from that camera was wiped at 5 a.m., precisely 17 minutes after Yu Menglong's death was reported. Experts later reconstructed fragments from backup servers, frames of light flashes, silhouettes, and a faint outline of someone bending over the actor's body, placing what looked like a piece of cloth on his chest, the missing bedsheet. The same pattern of 3 fingerprints appeared again, smeared on the camera lens. 6 months later, a rival news station obtained an off-record clip of a producer breaking down during a press briefing. Tears streaking her face, she whispered into her lapel, "MIC, the cleaner was right. There was blood. But not his." The clip was removed from all platforms within 30 minutes. Still, hundreds of fans mirrored it, analyzing frame by frame. One frame revealed a document on the table labeled Scene 34B, reshoot approval. The date, 2 days after Yu Menglong's supposed death. That revelation tore open new theories, that his last night wasn't real-time but a staged production sequence, that the blood, the towel, the script fragments all belonged to a rehearsal scene gone wrong. But if it was just a scene, why hide it? Why silence the only woman who cleaned the truth? In August of the following year, an anonymous package arrived at a local journalist's office in Shanghai. Inside, a sealed plastic bag containing a white hotel towel, speckled with faded red stains, and a note, from the 13th floor. "Tell them he didn't bleed alone." Lab analysis confirmed human blood mixed with synthetic stage dye, a combination used on film sets for realism. But the DNA sample belonged not to Yu Menglong, but to another male actor from the same agency, one who vanished from public life weeks later. The journalist tried to publish the results. His article was pulled within hours. He fled the country days later. Last winter, a new documentary surfaced under a foreign account titled The Cleaner's Tape. It contained an audio file, distorted, whispered, rhythmic. Experts believe it's Mrs. Liang's voice, recorded secretly during her final interview. Her last words, "I wiped away what they left behind, but the floor kept shining red." Then a click. Static. And faintly, in the background, the melody of Yu Menglong's unreleased song plays again, the same line looping endlessly. "Don't look down, the truth reflects." Investigators still claim the case is closed. The hotel reopened under a new name. Room 1304 no longer appears on any map, but guests who stay in 1204 report strange occurrences, mop streaks appearing overnight, the faint scent of green tea, and a woman's voice humming a half-remembered tune. Some call it superstition. Others call it evidence. But one thing remains undeniable: every attempt to erase Yu Menglong's final night leaves behind new stains, digital, emotional, literal. 3 years after the incident, a forensic expert released a private paper analyzing the towel sample under ultraviolet light. Hidden in the fibers were microscopic ink traces spelling something in Mandarin. It's not real blood. A prop, a message, or a warning, no one knows. But if the blood was fake, why did people disappear? Why the silence, the deletions, the fear? Perhaps Mrs. Liang's confession wasn't about death at all. Perhaps it was about illusion, the way truth itself bleeds when fame mops it clean. The air inside room 1304 felt wrong. Mrs. Liang said it wasn't just the smell, it was the weight of it, thick, heavy, clinging to her lungs like fog that refused to move. The curtains were drawn, but a slice of moonlight sneaked through the gap, cutting across the carpet like a blade. She saw the red line again, thinner than a hair but leading her eyes toward the bathroom door, as if it wanted to be followed. Her heart pressed hard against her ribs, and still, she moved closer. She pushed the door open. The mirror caught her reflection first, pale face, trembling hand, and behind her, the faint shimmer of water still swirling in the tub. The faucet dripped steadily, each drop echoing too loud for such a small space. On the edge of the sink sat the towel, perfectly folded as though someone had planned to come back. But on its corner, she noticed it, the streak of blood that had begun to dry into a dark, sticky maroon. She reached out with a gloved hand, touched it lightly, and that was when the phone on the desk outside began to ring. She froze. It rang twice, 3 times, then stopped. Silence filled the room again, and the silence was worse than sound. She turned back to the mirror and for half a second, swore she saw a shape move behind her reflection. She spun. Nothing there. Only the open balcony door letting the curtain breathe. Mrs. Liang had been cleaning that hotel for 7 years. She'd found forgotten jewelry, broken glass, even drunken guests asleep in bathtubs. But this was different. She felt like she was standing inside someone's secret. The glass of green tea still on the counter looked freshly placed, a faint wisp of steam curling upward. When she leaned close, she saw the faint outline of fingerprints on the glass, 2 sets. One smaller, one larger. She heard herself whisper, "Who else was here?" and her voice cracked like the room itself was listening. Then came the sound. Not loud, not clear, but deep like someone dragging fabric across the floor above her. She stepped into the main room and looked up. The ceiling light flickered. A soft thud followed. Then another. As if someone was pacing directly overhead. But the 13th floor was the top. She turned off the vacuum and stood in absolute stillness. Her reflection in the black TV screen seemed to move even when she didn't. For a moment, she thought it smiled. That was when the phone rang again. She hesitated, but curiosity pushed past fear. She picked it up. A man's whisper, "Lock the door. Do not speak of what you see." The line clicked dead. She did not lock the door. Instead, she moved to the balcony and slid it open. Cold air flooded in, carrying the smell of rain and something faintly burnt. Down below, in the alley behind the hotel, she saw a black van parked beneath a broken streetlight. A figure stood beside it, holding what looked like a camera tripod. The man looked up, straight at her, though she was shrouded in shadow. For one impossible second, their eyes met. He lifted his hand, 3 fingers raised, slow, deliberate, then turned and stepped into the van. It drove off without headlights. Mrs. Liang backed away from the balcony, heart hammering. The curtain brushed her shoulder and she nearly screamed. When she turned back toward the room, the towel was gone. She blinked, looked again, it wasn't on the counter anymore. She stumbled forward, scanning the floor. Then she saw it, halfway under the bed, as though something or someone had dragged it there. She crouched down and reached for it. Her fingers brushed the fabric and froze. Under the bed, pressed against the far wall, was a phone. Its screen was shattered, but it was still recording. The red light blinked twice. Then it stopped. She snatched the towel, stood, and backed toward the door. Her mind screamed to run, but her legs refused. She looked once more around the room. Everything seemed rearranged. The tea glass was gone. The window curtains now fully closed. The bathroom light off. It was as if the room had swallowed itself. Down the hallway, the night manager appeared suddenly, his tie loose, eyes wide. "What are you doing up here?" he asked. His tone wasn't angry. It was terrified. I was finishing the round," she stammered. "No one finishes on 13, he hissed. "You were told," he stopped, staring past her shoulder into the room. His face drained of color. "Did you touch anything?" "Just the floor," she said. "And the..." He cut her off. "Forget it. Forget this room." He slammed the door shut, locked it, and whispered, "If anyone asks, you never came here." Then he walked away, fast, without looking back. When she returned to the staff room, her hands were shaking too hard to hold her mop. She rinsed it anyway, watching the water swirl pink down the drain before turning clear. But it didn't feel clean. The color seemed to linger in her vision. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the reflection in the mirror, the shadow behind her, still watching. She kept hearing the dripping sound, the whisper, the man's voice on the phone repeating, "Lock the door." By morning, her pillow was damp with sweat, though her room was cold. She told no one until days later when her friend in maintenance stopped by her station. "You look pale," he said. "Bad shift?" She hesitated, then said softly, He wasn't alone that night. Her friend frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked at him and whispered, "I think someone stayed behind. I think they never left." The friend laughed nervously, but she didn't. When she opened her locker to grab her gloves, a folded piece of paper fell out. She hadn't put it there. On it were 3 fingerprints drawn in red ink and 5 words written beneath. "You cleaned too well, Liang." She looked around the empty staff corridor, every sound suddenly too loud, every shadow too thick. The janitor's closet light began to flicker. From the dark corner, the mop handle slowly tilted, falling to the ground with a soft clack. That was the last sound before she ran. Later that day, the hotel's internal CCTV from the staff corridor went missing. Her locker was cleared. Her name tag removed. But in the lost and found drawer left open by mistake, the night guard swore he saw something before it disappeared, a blood-specked towel folded neatly beside a broken phone. And in the silence that followed, the 13th floor began to hum again, soft, rhythmic, like the beginning of a song.